Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Charlotte O'Hara and I'm a Squarespace SEO expert, and I am very excited today to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, and that is blog post sidebars and how they affect SEO on your Squarespace website, or better yet, do they affect SEO on your Squarespace website? So if you guys have been following me, you've taken a look at any of the other videos or blog posts I've done, maybe you're a client, you're a student of mine, doesn't matter what it is, but you have definitely without a doubt heard me talk about how important blogging is, right? I'm like, every website needs a blog, every brand or business can benefit from a blog. It's so important from an SEO point of view, but also with connecting with your audience. So I'm like team blog 110%, right? But people are often like, okay, well, what's the best way to display the content on my blog? Should I use a blog sidebar? And you guys probably know what a blog sidebar is. I'm guessing if you're here, like, it's like a little bit of section on usually the right-hand side of the screen on a blog display. So you've got like the post on the left, and then there's something on the right. And usually we use a blog sidebar to maybe like help link to other important bits of content, or maybe you could put like an ad there if you do advertising, or you could do, top products, or like there's just many different things you can do for a blog sidebar. But the big question is like, do you actually, first of all, I always say, do you even need a blog sidebar, or are you just doing it because you think you should? And then second, does it have any effect on SEO? And so the answer to that, the annoying answer that I know you don't want to hear, is that it depends. So in most cases, well, let's rewind. Let's put it this way. First of all, Squarespace does not love a blog sidebar, to put it nicely. So you probably know, if you're on Squarespace 7.1, it's not even really like built into the functionality. And if you're on 7.0, then you might remember that blog post sidebars were only built into a few of the templates. It wasn't a universal thing. And the reason for this is that like blog sidebars used to be much more popular like back in the day, because for like a bunch of different reasons. That was more so when like blogs were blogs, just a bunch of posts and stuff. Whereas now a blog is more so like part of a website, And also another really massive thing is that people have changed the way they view websites. So now more than ever, like I'm recording this in 2022, the amount of people that visit websites on their mobile devices, mobile device means like a phone, a smartphone or something, or, even the tablets or something like an iPad, whatever, that number is just rising every single day. Whereas before, like back in the day, people were always viewing, or almost always viewing, the website content on their laptop or a desktop. So obviously when you have more space, like when the screen size is bigger, then you have more real estate, so you can put a sidebar. Whereas if you think about it, if someone's viewing it on their phone, like the screen is not that big. So to have a third of the page dedicated to a sidebar, it like just doesn't really make sense, right? So now you have to think about it. First of all, like, do you even need a sidebar? And then the second part is like, okay, well, if you do decide you want a sidebar, the two options that you basically have are, number one, you can like purchase and install like a sidebar. Usually like you get some code or a plugin, and then you can kind of like override Squarespace's default settings. And then that will give you a blog sidebar. So that's option one. And then option two is you can like custom code a sidebar onto your blog. And again, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that's not what you're doing. You're probably choosing number one, which is where you get like the plugin or the code for it. So those are your two options. And then this is where it kind of comes into play about like SEO. Okay, so let's think about this. So there's a couple different things to think about with SEO. And the main one is that anytime you add custom code or whatever to your Squarespace website, it can potentially slow down the page load speed. And I think I've got a video that I'll link to here that talks about custom code and, all of the effects of that. So if you are purchasing the code from like a reputable, high quality code shop or whatever you want to call it, I'm like blanking on the name, then in most cases it will be nice, clean code that's not really going to like slow down your website too much, and it's not going to have a huge effect on the speed. But again, you do want to make sure that this is something that you're considering, because again, Google does not like a website that is slow to load. In their mind, they're like, yeah, that's not helpful. That's not useful to the person who's going to see the website. So they'll like penalize you for that. Okay. So you have to think about like the page load speed. And then number two as well is that oftentimes people would use a blog sidebar to help visitors navigate the website, right? So it would often be like main links or something, right? But now I want you to think about like most people who are viewing the blog, like often they'll first be seeing the post and there's like the main navigation or whatever. So, or you could even have on Squarespace, you could enable the announcement bar functionality instead. So I want you to just think about like, how are you maybe overriding the need for a sidebar by improving the functionality and the layout and the navigation of the content so that people can still access what they want, but it's just not like there on a sidebar. Do you know what I mean? So those are some things, and it's really helpful because you're still including the links, which means that both the person can access the content and like Google, the search engine that's crawling and indexing your site, they can still easily navigate around through everything. But you're just doing it in a different way. You're not relying on a sidebar necessarily. So those are some of the main things I wanted you to keep in mind when it comes to deciding whether or not you want to use a sidebar on your Squarespace website. And if so, is there any effect on SEO? And again, like I said, it depends, but it's usually not a huge concern, to be totally honest. But I do always recommend, like, before you start going and adding one, really ask yourself, is this something that I need? Is it adding value? And is it something that like maybe I can incorporate in a different way if you don't necessarily need all of the functionality? So if you like this video, be sure to like it, give it a thumbs up, or let me know in the comments down below if you found this topic interesting, if you have any questions like that. Also, be sure to grab a copy of the Squarespace SEO checklist. So I've linked that down below. You can grab a copy of it. And I know you're going to absolutely love it because it's been downloaded by, like I said, thousands and thousands of people. So you're in excellent company when it comes to the Squarespace SEO checklist. And then also to take a look at the other videos and blog posts that I have here all about Squarespace and SEO and growing your website, online marketing, things like that. Because if you like this video and you like these general topics, then there's lots more to choose from here. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon in the next one. Bye.